What's up, everybody? Grant Wise here. Welcome to the Marketing Genius Podcast. Very excited today to be joined by Suneet Agarwal, legend over in the California real estate market who's doing some big things and helping a ton of people. I'm really excited to have him on today to talk about real estate, talk about business, sales, marketing, mindset, recruiting, whatever the conversation kind of steers us to. I know it will be a good one. Suneet, man, thanks for jumping on with me.
Grant, thanks for reaching out, man. I'm super pumped to be here, and it's good to see you as always. So, excited for sure.
Yeah, I think the first time I met you, what was it? It was 2016 in San Francisco at Inman Connect. I think that's when I first connected with you, and then I followed you for the last several years and watched the last.
Yeah, same. I think you guys, we were both kind of newer to that scene. I think 2015 or 2016. I don't know which one it was. And yeah, you guys were there in your booth.
Yep.
And I remember we talked for a minute. It was during that vendor alley thing that they do over there. Yeah, good times for sure.
I think the way that you introduced yourself, because I had ran a geo-targeted ad to the building, and I had said, screenshot this and come to my booth, and I'll show you how I did it, right? And you walked up like, how did you do this? This is cool.
Yes, dude. Good memory for sure.
Awesome. So, dude, tell us, give us the story. For those that don't know you listening to this, man, who are you and how did you get to where you are today?
So I've been an agent originally, like back in the day. Sacramento was huge in the mortgage space, right? Like there was a big Ameriquest building here. Countrywide had a big presence, tons of loan officers. So a guy like me, I was younger out of college, really not a lot of direction in the field that I got to major in. So everybody I knew was working at Ameriquest, and I went there, learned sales, and all of a sudden at like 25, making way too much money during the subprime boom, way too much, irresponsible as all get out, and got out of that when the market tanked, did some other businesses. I said, I'm never going to get back into real estate again. About 2012, there was another like challenging point in my other industries that I was in. And I was sitting on my couch for like 2 years, man, like trying to do some internet startups, trying to do this and that, and nothing really had any traction. So one of my buddies said, man, go get your real estate license back, but this time be a realtor. Bro, no way I'm doing that. I don't want to sell houses. You're crazy. I had a great year. He told me how much he made. It was nearly $500,000 his first year back. I said, all right, now you're talking. So I got in, joined one of these older school brokerages in 2014. So this is only my 6th year in the business. Joined one of these older school businesses, our older school brokerages. No real direction, no real tech, no real, the way they told me to market myself, Grant, was pass out 100 business cards.
That works, right?
Yeah, that works. Still top agent, top new agent in the company that year. The next year I left and I said, my wife was pregnant. I was out showing houses all night, every weekend, open houses, just grinding. And she was pregnant. I was like, man, something has to change. I've only been an agent 2.5 years. Something has to change. I'm about to have my first kid. I want to be home. I want to hang out with my family. What do I do? So I started a team. And of course, this meant more work, right? Luckily, I had a business background from owning different companies in different spaces. And I was able to, with the help of coaches and mentors, we were just talking about Mike Bjorkman, somebody who helped me tremendously. I also at that time got heavily involved with the Facebook group Lab Code Agents, and Tristan Ahumada, who runs that group. I feel like he was really one of my first real mentors in the space that kind of spoke my language as far as technology and self-development and all those things that the local brokerages weren't really teaching me. Every brokerage wants to sell their own tech and their own coaching, which for me, it just wasn't conducive or something that I liked. I never bought into the culture. So at that time, as the team got more successful, I got opportunities. Michael Hellickson asked me to be a coach at Club Wealth. I became a moderator on Lab Coat Agents. I got a lot of speaking gigs, and speaking nationally really allowed me to open my eyes to where the people I was dealing with every day were national and not local in my market. Like still to this day, I don't know who the top team in my market is. I think it may be mine, but I don't look at those numbers. I look at nationally. Like I want to compete with Robert Slack in Florida, with Gary Ashton out in Nashville, right? Like these are the people that I surround myself with, and not so local. So doing these talk, speaking to these people, traveling around. I met Sam and Corey and Oliver over at Big Block. Early on, we became friends. We have a lot of things in common. Their model down there at Big Block, for me, really spoke to me, and it was something that I wanted to be a part of. So we figured it out. About 13 months ago, we opened the first Big Block franchise and the first office outside of the greater San Diego area. We've been here for a year. My team is still cranking. 26 agents on the team. There's about 62 at the brokerage total. So I have so all the agents work at the brokerage. Some are on my personal sales team where, they're providing other things. There's some that don't want to be, but the intention was, hey, I like working with everybody. I understand not everybody wants to be on my team. So let's do a brokerage as well and make it somewhere cool and make it somewhere that people want to work at and not dread coming to the office over some crap, right?
Yeah. Love it.
So yeah, that's been a year. Like I said, I have a wife. I have a 3-year-old daughter. My wife's 7 months pregnant with another daughter, and
there you go.
Just super grateful to be here and talking to you and just being here today. Period. Right.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I love that story. That's a great one. It seems like you've moved pretty fast, no matter what you've done. What's given you a lot of that speed?
So that's very interesting, and I think so. And I think about that myself too, is because, bro, I haven't been an agent for 6 years, and I have a top team, national speaker, former coach, already, and I own a pretty hip brokerage. And I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying is who I've always strived to spend my time with.
Yeah.
Right. Like I go to a lot of events, maybe more than I should sometimes. Right. That's actually calming down now, but I go to a lot of events and I hang out with the most successful people that I want to be. So my goal has hang out with people that I want to be like, right. Like,
yeah.
Your network is your net worth, and all these other phrases that we can go on. I feel like that in multiple industries has helped my professional career, no matter what I was doing.
Yeah, I love that. So if we look at kind of what you said, you started traveling the country, you started going to these events, and what I liked what you said is you started opening your mind not to compete on a local level, but how can I compete on a national level? Like how can I get out there and really run with the big dogs, become one of the big dogs, became one of the big dogs, right? And continue to grow and scale to the top. How did that mindset shift? What are some just a couple things that you can think of specifically? How did that mindset shift really change your perspective about growing a business, real estate, some of those types of things?
So, when I was in mortgage, I was just really hungry for more. There was no intentional mindset stuff, or there was really no self-development work at all. We're a bunch of young dudes making way too much money and having way too much fun, right? So that was kind of like the learning lesson. And in my other businesses I did after that, it was kind of along the same mindset. Like, how do I achieve massive growth? Well, I hang around people who have massively grown, right? And are where I want to be. And if I got to pay them some money, so be it. Because ultimately, it's worth it and you get what you pay for. I mean, right? And that's just it. In real estate, it really began with a self-development kick. As I got more, talking to Tristan more, who's big into it, and all these other, agents on Lab Coats and Club Wealth, it all became like self-development. And like I said, people get hooked on the stuff sometimes. I definitely did. I'm not anymore. I broke myself. I listened. So, dude, check this out. So I was one of those guys, podcast every day. I was doing the Audible books nonstop, driving around, all this. And I was all, bro, like my brain is fried.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so for the first 6 months of this year, I only listened to music in the car.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Wow, bro. Right. Only music. That was a good way to break the cycle. But after about 6 months, I was like, man, I need some self-development motivation. So I'm back, but I was able to wean myself off cold turkey, actually. So, but and John Cheplak, who you just had on, and who I'm honored to have as my business coach, he says, like self-development is some of the best ROI that you're going to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
I was getting ready to ask you, like, have you ever been able to quantify what self-development's done for your business?
I mean, quantify as far as numbers, no, but me being an annoying agent on the biggest Facebook group for realtors in the world, turned into great relationships, great opportunities, and great learning, right? Me joining Club Wealth as a younger agent with Michael Hellickson, it really opened my doors to the possibilities. And it's like, dude, I used to be addicted, and we were just talking about this, to the Pat Hyben podcast, right? And you know Pat, I'm sure, and he's an OG. And I would just eat that content up and implement whatever I can. So quantify, no, but was there an impact? It impacted every part of my life, right? So I'm grateful for all the stuff that's out there and the real estate community nationally in general, because it is really if you're with the right people, it's a giving and open network.
Right. How did you identify, like, I need to work on this. I need to work on this. Like, I'm in my business. I've been in the business a year. These are my struggles. I'm going to go find the best people in like, how did you identify which people and which groups? Was it just like, it just kind of all happened, or did you have specific pains that you were trying to solve, specific problems you were trying to solve, which pushed you into certain groups? Like, how did you identify the best people to go really start paying attention to?
Sure. So when I back in the mortgage days, we dropped about $1 million a month on mail. And the mail made our phones ring off the damn hook, dude. Like, back in the day, it was super easy, right? I mean, I'm sure you spent a bunch of money on mail and the phone would ring nonstop, right? Of course, that changed. And when I first became an agent, one of my loan officer friends, he's, oh man, and I was like, dude, I don't want to pass out cards. I don't want to do open houses every day. How do we get some leads? Do I drop some mail? He's all, bro, it doesn't work anymore. We have to buy leads. And the only place that we knew where to buy leads then, which wasn't true, unfortunately, was off of Zillow. And I was broke, bro. Like, I was slinging houses like to try and eat. So my budget was $200 a month. So I got on Zillow, and it was probably the most challenged, impoverished neighborhood in Sacramento. And it worked, and I learned the conversion aspect of it. But then, so as I closed more houses and became more successful, I said, well, right now, Zillow doesn't work in my budget. I love these portal leads, but it's not working for me financially. So I go online, and man, I need to find some people that are generating leads for free. And I got steered to Lab Coat Agents. And then I saw everybody talking about Google and Facebook. And at the same time, I was still being very fiscal and not wanting to spend any money. So, I mean, if I was smart, I would have found you and paid you back then, right? But me, I was all, I want to spend no money. I have a background in information tech. I can figure this out, right? So that's kind of like where it all started. Is I think what it was, dude, is how to run a home valuation landing page lead, which I think I got one listing for it in my whole life, which we'll talk about maybe off air. But that's how it started.
So identifying a problem and then going and find the best, just like doing your due diligence and finding some of the best people and doing the work and developing a skill set. Sounds like it was really important for your success. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, like I said, I have my bachelor's in management information systems, so I knew how to write code and do a couple basic things, right? I mean, I graduated college in that. So, I thought I could figure it out all myself, and whatever free content out there at the time. And at the time, it was a lot of the stuff on Lab Code Agents. That's what I found first. That's just what I went after. It's like, and I just started bugging people, like blowing up people's Facebook Messenger. And I'm sure it was annoying, and I didn't know who I was talking to half the time, but it really opened doors.
What would you say are the top 3 things you learned from lab codes?
Back then or of all time?
Just of all time. I know it'd be kind of hard to narrow it down, but what would you say like your biggest takeaways?
So it's like transcended so much stuff, because now it's like I learned about, the value of making relationships online. Like that was the main thing. Like Tristan, he was, busy team lead at Keller, busy running the group. I think back then there was only 30,000 members in it. I blew him up in Messenger nonstop. You can ask him and he'll talk smack about it. Like I was that annoying agent just sending messages. I know you have it all the time. I have it all the time. I was him, and I was that guy, and he gave me that help. So that really, like, I'm super grateful to Tristan forever, because I feel like that really opened up all the doors. I learned about, the importance of events, right? It's kind of different now, because I'm not looking for necessarily the content it's not very applicable when I'm this point in my business.
Yeah.
I mean, you still pick up good stuff, right? But now, now I'm more of like on a leadership kick, because it just I changed. So
what are, speaking to that, what do you think are the biggest things that you try to teach people in that group now? Like now that your role is kind of reversed, and you were a student at one point, and now you become more of a teacher, what do you think are some of the most important things you try to teach people that interact in that group?
So I would say not only in that group, but with my agents as well, and just, on our videos that we do and any content that we put out, is really how to, differentiate yourself and provide value to your clients outside of, like, bro, real estate has become, you friggin' open a door and you send a DocuSign, and you like never really talk to the people, and that client experience sucks, right? All these agents are worried about purple bricks and Redfin and all this other, the disruptors that they call it, yet they're not trying to elevate their game at all. They're still just doing the blind DocuSign. Oh, hey, what's this I got? Oh, it's a DocuSign. It's my Avid agent visual inspection disclosure. Just go ahead and sign it. Like, come on. So that's something big, and something for so long. So for so long, I was just heavy tech focused. Like, we could automate this. We can, pay someone to do this. But I went to a Mike Ferry event with Sam and Oliver and Corey. And I mean, say what you will about Mike's style, the dude knows his stuff, right? He's been teaching longer than anybody. And it really took me back to the fundamentals, right? Which I think are lacking in a lot of training. And that's been big for me, is the fundamentals, and just providing extra value to these people. And just no wonder all these agents are scared of all this tech that's coming out, right? But
most agents, I don't think, understand that they've very quickly become commodities. I mean, we talk about this pretty regularly. Like, there's nothing special about one agent over another when you're talking about features. Like, everybody expects that you give great customer service. That's a pretty shitty, excuse my language, but it's a pretty shitty value proposition. Everybody expects that you're good at communication. Everybody expects, if you've been in the business, nobody cares how long you've been in the business. Everybody expects that you're good at your job. Like, these are all horrible And I mean like horrible. I've never cussed on this podcast. I'm sorry I just did that. These are horrible value propositions. And so when you find yourself in a situation where you're having the Redfin conversation or the purple bricks or anybody's asking you, you meet with a client and they ask you to discount your commission, what they just told you, listen to this, guys. What they just told you is that you're a commodity. There's nothing special about what you do. I can get it cheaper somewhere else. What you didn't do are some really important things that Suneet just said is you didn't add value. You didn't show people how you were different. Commodities negotiate their price. Specialists can charge whatever the hell they want. And so I think that if you like really hone in what he just said right there, super, super important. I think it's great to create leverage in the ways that you need to create leverage, back-end operations. But when it comes to another thing that he just said, relationships, that's your freaking business. Like it's your value. It's how you're going to grow a big business. I tell people that all the time, like Facebook ads. I said relationships. I haven't said this in a while. Relationships have taken me places that Facebook ads never will. But sure. Facebook ads created most of those relationships for me, right? So there's the tact and the strategy, and then there's like, what's the main thing? And in real estate, the main thing is developing relationships that will take you to the next level. It sounds like you became really, really, really good at doing that. But I hope that if you guys are listening to this, you heard what he said. Being a real estate agent is not a unique value proposition. There are 2 million plus licensed real estate agents in the United States. There are, I don't know, a dozen major companies that have raised over $100 million to replace the agent. Like, the act of being a realtor isn't unique. And I'm sorry if that upsets you, but it's not. Like, it's a crappy value proposition. You really need to understand that that's not what this business is about. And I think that there's some pretty crappy teaching out there. You know, and I was just on a coaching call this morning, and I've been talking about this a lot lately. Most agents that come into the business with brokers or broker-provided business, I'm going to call it like, quote, business coaches, because I think these guys are crocs. But these guys are teaching you to be producers. They're not teaching you to be business owners. And that's a huge distinction, because we did this value exercise, hourly value exercise with this woman, and we learned that her value per hour to her company was $136 an hour. Like, that's how much her time was worth based on the revenue that she would generate spending her time. And we discovered that when she did cold prospecting, and I'm not trying to knock cold prospecting, just when she did it, she picked up the phone and cold called. She ended up spending a little over $16,000 worth of her time doing cold prospecting to get one deal that generated a little over $7,000 in commission. So we found out that if she does cold prospecting, she ends up losing like a little over $8,000 or $9,000 in commission. When if she did bought leads, took live transfers, like did all these other ways that she grows her business, she had a massive, like multi-1,000% return on investment. So it's like, hey, is it smart to spend your time doing cold prospecting or not? So she takes this information back to her business coach, and he says, you just need to get better at doing it. Like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I need to get better at doing it? You need to be fired, man. Like, I told her to give me his phone number. She wouldn't do it. But it's these types of things. Like, you guys are mostly taught to be producers. So you get all of this really poor advice. Talk about your customer service. Talk about how long you've been in business. Talk about your stupid business card and your crappy website. Like, talk about all these things that don't freaking matter. And I've gone a little bit of a tangent here, so I've taken up a bunch of your time. I'm sorry. This stuff just really gets me. And you're a guy.
Like, be unique. Like, you know, we were talking off here. Michael Bjorkman was here yesterday, and we did a little Facebook Live and talked about this stuff and just how to be unique. You know, create some unique sales propositions that set you apart. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but do it, demonstrate it, right? When you meet a buyer, it's from an online lead, and you know, I get tons of online leads a month. That's unfortunately became the backbone of my business. That's another podcast. And when you meet them, like, you know, have a VIP buyer program. Talk about something that no other agent they meet is going to talk about besides, They pull up the house on their phone and put it in the MLS. The person they're meeting has the same damn information on their Zillow app or their Redfin app, where they can get it for cheaper. So be different. Gosh, yeah. We
Yeah,
thought about
look down at your fingerprint. Like that's the easiest way to figure out how to win in real estate, win in business in general, is to look at your fingerprint, understand that there was one of you created. There was only one. That's your greatest differentiating factor in life. Because I have access to Zillow. I have access to the internet. I have access to Facebook. I have access to Instagram. I have access to your lenders that I could call in 2 seconds and win them away from you. I have access to your title reps. I have access to Dotloop. I have access to every single thing that you have access to. Those things are so irrelevant. It's not even funny. Your value is in that fingerprint. The art of differentiation, which is something my good buddy David Finale teaches, is how to be different. Like it's, and the answer isn't just being yourself. Like the answer is in the authenticity that you bring to the table, who you are, what you do, what you believe. Building a personal brand basically is your superpower, and it's also your defense mechanism against these big companies, because Zillow can't come in and create a hyper-local brand. They can, but it would have to be done through the realtor, which is a big, like they've got a big mountain to climb with how much trust they've, really violated in the industry. And so on and so forth. If you look at companies like Amazon cannot create hyper local content the way that the realtor can, the way that they can build a brand. And people are like, well, Amazon has these $1,000 to $5,000 incentives. It's like, well, hey, they're charging you 25%, but listen, bro, go create one yourself. Like it's not that difficult. If you guys are wondering how to compete with Amazon, here it is. Create hyper local content, run ads to that content, build your brand. B, like next point, write out on a piece of paper every single thing attached to a real estate transaction, which is real estate, mortgage, title, homeowners insurance, it's home warranties, it's contractors, painters, cleaning companies, fertilizer people, lawn boys, like the list goes on. Take that list and write out a name beside every one of those points. What you've done is you've now established you have a vendor for every important part of the real estate transaction. Point C, call those people and ask what type of special you can promote to your list. Boom. In 2 seconds, you've created an incentive list that doesn't cost you 25% of your commission. And if you have a personal brand, you're going to be better at distributing that and thus winning more business than Amazon or Zillow or any of these other companies. And I think, that's important. That's one easy way to stand out, is to go out and create something. And this is something we're getting ready to test, is, providing that incentive, because there is none. There's no incentive to use one agent over another. Agents got to get better, bro. Like, that.
Dude. Yeah. All day. Preach it every day.
Yeah. I know we only have a couple minutes left. Like, if you had to say, like, what's one great way that you've stood out throughout your career and you're showing somebody to stand out today? Like, if you could point at one thing that you could say, like, this was the differentiating factor for me, and this is what I'm showing to people today that's differentiating. Like, what's the one biggest way that agent could stand out?
So for me, and maybe it's something genetic or something I learned as a child, but for me, it was really becoming a good communicator.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that once you can, number one, not be scared to talk to somebody, and be confident in what you're saying and presenting. I think those are the massive game changers, especially in real estate, a relationship business, where you need to talk to people every day, right? And smile and be confident. And if you don't have the experience to be confident, then practice.
Yep.
And sure, it comes naturally to some people. Sure, it does. But you and I both know that anybody can do it. I mean, I still get a little nervous sometimes when I hit a stage, right? But ultimately, and that's just because I haven't practiced enough. Maybe I was out too late the night prior or something, right? So I think just learn how to communicate, and then actually communicate with everybody you need to throughout the transaction.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. The only reason that we, teach Facebook ads, or we teach lead generation, or we teach anything that we teach, especially at the lead level, is to start communication. I love what you said. It's so true. The only reason that you guys do prospecting, cold calling, door knocking, send mailers, like the only reason you guys do any of those activities is so that you can start communication with the client. And I couldn't agree more. It's actually one of the reasons that I was never interested in the transactional process. Like I never was a licensed agent. I never had any interest in selling houses. I never had any desire. A big part because I think I'm pretty good at communication. I like clear communication, and I think most agents are horrible at it. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. I think most people, if you ask my wife, I'm probably not like the best communicator in the world, but if you ask everybody else, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, my wife tells me often that I suck at it, but
yeah, that's a different topic. Yeah, that's a different situation. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on so much. A ton of value dropped here today. Sorry I took a little of your time and went on some rants, but hopefully.
I love it. Like, I hope all the listeners listen to that. I'm going to have all of my agents listen to it because the fingerprint, all that was good, man. And it's relevant to what we're talking about. So I love that stuff.
Love it. What's the best way for somebody to connect with you if they wanted to connect with you and learn more about you?
That's the hard question. So before air, Mr. Wise said I could only pick one thing. So I've been thinking about it throughout the whole podcast. And I think it's going to be Instagram.
There you go.
It's Suneet at Suneet Agarwal, Sacramento. That's going to be it right now. Facebook is maxed out, so that's going to be it.
All right, love it, man. Guys, and if you're listening to this, we'll make sure that we tag Suneet in the show notes, so you can just click a link and go check out his profile, and then we'll share this obviously socially and stuff like that. So you guys definitely connect with him. He is such a giving dude. I have watched this guy for years now, and he runs in some awesome circles, and he's connected to some amazing people, and he's always working to give out a ton of value. I think he's a guy that's reaped a lot of reward from the industry, and now it seems like he's trying to give a ton of it back. So definitely follow him if you get a chance. Connect with him on Instagram. Shoot him a DM, ask him a question, whatever you can do. Thank you, Suneet, again for jumping by the podcast, dude. I really appreciate you taking time.
Yeah,
you're a busy dude, but it was super awesome to connect with you here for a little bit today.
The honor. I'm grateful. Thank you for the opportunity. This was awesome, man. Good to just see you again after a couple of years, too, besides just on one of your amazing sponsored posts saying turn up the volume.
Right? Yeah, definitely need to do that. I love it, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Marketing Genius podcast. Continue to check us out, watch us on the website, make sure you rate us on iTunes and Google Play. We will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Yeah, thanks.